And welcome to Strikers, Keepers, Losers, Weepers. I'm here, Greyhead as usual, and I'm joined by my partner in crime. A very happy, a very very happy, and hoping he's not going to gloat too much. Boris Bodega, better known as Sam. So, hello Sam, how are you?
Oh, I'm so happy. I've been waiting for this podcast for ages. Seems like it was never going to come. Yeah, very good. Had a really nice week. We smashed our opponents 4-2. Arsenal are still top of the league, so I'm very, very happy there. And you guys drew, which is the icing on the cake, I think.
So everything's going your way, and I deliberately left it a week. Thank goodness for the international break, just so you could calm down a bit, Sam. So I didn't want you to be too overexcited. I'm also delighted to say we're joined by another one of our team captains. So better known as FPL Ron Manager, but also known as Paul. So Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Nice to be with you both.
No, and Paul is the team captain of Qatar Heroes, and again he's another very happy man, because they got their first victory the last game week. So I'm sure he's going to tell us more about that later on. The bad news, folks, he is an Arsenal fan, so unfortunately they are breeding. Right, but plenty to get to. So Sam, what are we going to cover in today's show?
We're going to be going over the results from match week 5, looking ahead to match week 6. We're having a nice chat with Ron Manager to see how his tactics are going and how his team are faring. And also, yeah, one last thing. I do need to ask you, Greyhead, what sort of shirt size it fits. Is it large, extra large? Because I've got to start ordering the Arsenal top for you to wear at the end of the season.
Very good, very good. But you should know by now that the trophies and championships are not won at this time of the season, Sam. But I'm going to let you enjoy it. I'm going to let you enjoy it so that the victory is even sweeter when it actually comes to pass. Yeah, no, great. Like I say, we'll find out more about how great your game week was a bit later on. We should say we're not joined by FPL Maldini or Nino this week because he's breeding or has bred an extra little hamster to join the hamsters as well. So he's busy trying to deal with sleepless nights and so forth. But just kind of congratulations to Nino for extending his family even more. So that's great news. But away from all this, let's start off by having a look at the results from the last match week. So match week 5. So again, we're not going to go through them all because obviously there's quite a few, but we're going to pick out some of the choice results, if you like, from the two different leagues. So first of all, let's have a quick look at the ones that caught my eye from the Jules League. And first, and this not just because Paul is on the show, but the one I was going to pick out was Qatar Heroes themselves, so who Paul team captains, and they finally won 2-1 against Cameroon Diaz. So Sam, maybe you want to tell us through the facts and figures, and then Paul, you can give us your version of events.
Well, it was a very close match. Cameroon Diaz. It was a bit of an upset in a way because Cameroon Diaz won the squad score, and normally if you get the squad score, that tends to indicate that you're going to win the match. But he got his head-to-heads bang on and his goalkeeper bang on. So QPR Caribbean scored a goal. FPL Shakil, is that, got a goal, and Ivor York, if that's how you say it. He got a clean sheet from both the opposite strikers as well. So that turned it over and got them a 2-1 win.
Excellent. So how is mood in the camp then, Paul? Are you all jubilant after your first win?
Buoyant. Yeah, I think it feels like we finally got a bit of luck going our way, because some of the previous weeks, although our team scores have been a bit on the low side, at times the defeats have been on the back of, like, Salah missing an open goal a few weeks ago cost us big time. Also, I think a few weeks ago we got hit by Brighton getting a clean sheet and one of their players scoring a goal or two, and that hit us as well. But this time round, despite the number of hits that we had, and one of our substitutes also had, they had 12 points hit on their side. So I knew that we had a little bit of an uphill task, but I changed my tactics a little bit for this one in terms of my selection, because up to now we've had very similar teams. There's not been that much variance, but this time round I used rate my team on the scout site this time, and then also what I aimed for was to have fairly template pick with Iggy, our goalkeeper, and then selecting one sort of fairly template captain choice, and then picking a different captain choice for the other striker to try and, I think it's standard tactics for most of the captains probably, but I wanted to obviously try and maximize our chances. And also from some of the analysis I've been doing of some of the other teams in our half of the draw, we seem to have a reasonable number of decent differentials. When I've been doing my preparation for this evening, quite a few of the teams I've been looking at, their differentials are not necessarily ones that I would want us to have. So I'm quite pleased with who we've got as our differentials, and it just sort of made a difference. And as you can see from the squad score, we weren't that far away from completely blanking them out. So
yeah, one of the things I've noticed is that certainly the last couple of times we've done the tournament is teams go through periods where they're not scoring particularly heavily, and then there'll just be another period where they just start scoring much more, and it's like a wave. Most teams, apart from some teams which are consistent all the way through, majority of the teams just have these waves where they score heavily, some over 3 or 4 game weeks, and then it sort of goes down a bit.
Yeah, so let's hope then, Paul, this is the start of a run for you anyway. But
I think it will be. I'm looking forward to who we got this coming weekend. So
yeah, and you should have been more modest. You should have said this was all down to your brilliant leadership more than anything else. But no, you didn't. You were kind of like, said it was team effort. So that's good to hear. Good to hear. Anyway, talking of big variances, the other game I wanted to pick out was actually No Kuma No Cry, who lost 5-1 to Fabio Cannavarians. So Sam, I don't know if we could bring that one up, but this was our friend from the last one, I think, FPL Spaceman, JC.
Yeah, they had. Well, it was a combination of No Kerm and No Cry not hitting it at all, and Fabio Cannavarians just really hitting it. They had 12 more canes. There were no canes at all for No Kerm and No Cry. Fabio Cannavarians had 12 more canes, and he obviously did rather well. As they destroyed Leicester last week, which I'm sure you enjoyed. And none of the major differentials for No Kerm and No Cry hit. So, well, they had Isaac actually, had 5 Isaacs, but the majority of them just didn't happen. So they lost 3 goals on the squad score. Got a goal back from Mark Mansfield, their striker, but Queen Cola and FPL Student, who were strikers for Fabio's, they got a goal each, and that was too much. 5-1. Win.
Yeah, another big score. Like, I think they're one of those teams that are going to either win big or lose big. I was having a quick look, and I think the top scorers in the league, I think they've got 19 goals or something ridiculous like that, along with their rivals, Sheikh Blatter and Raul as well. So another XG team, as we found out last time round. So I think that's just the way it's going to be with them going forward. And then the other one I wanted to pick out in Jules League was another team that got their first 3 points anyway of the season, and that was the Kebabs, Maradona Kebabs. So I love that name. So FPL Dan was very happy, and they edged it 1-0. So sounds to me like it was quite a close affair.
Really, really close. 15 points in it. No striker goals. So both Joe, who was a goalkeeper for the Lurves, as I like to call them, and the Kebabs, their goalkeeper Dread FPL, they both got clean sheets, and they both scored really well. That's the thing. 623 for the Kebabs, over 608 for the squad scores. So both teams did really well. So the Lurves, I think they can feel themselves a little aggrieved, but a good solid win for the Kebabs in the end.
No, well done to them, and like I say, I mean, it's good to see them get off the mark as well. So I know FPL Dan's been keen to get those first 3 points. That's very good indeed. So then let's skip over to the other league, the Remake League, and okay, let's have it. Let's talk about the hamsters first of all. So you won 4-2. So go on then, Sam. You can bask in the glory here.
Well, Toby got it bang on. Obviously, he got the right players as strikers. Me and Fabinho. Torres Love did let a couple of goals in, but he was a bit unlucky. I thought he was the right pick to go in goal. He had a good round set of players, and we just hit our differentials. Well, it would have been a draw without my 2 goals, but I had to give a shout out to Toby actually, because without his advice, I'd only scored about 70. I had Gundogan and I was playing Nico Williams, and he said, "Why don't you sell Gundogan, get Bernardo in, and then upgrade one of my defenders on the bench?" I think it was Patterson, and I put Saliba in, and that got me an extra 20 points, I think, if I worked it out correctly. So good shout out for Toby for leading me. Yeah, very very happy with the win. We're on a roll.
Yeah, well, you were. And this is a free hit, so quite early to do a free hit then, son.
Yeah, I didn't want to, but I had Zinchenko got injured. I had 11 players, but Zinchenko got injured. Another player I was sure wasn't going to play. I was going to be left with Ward in goal, and I knew I was going to be wildcarding this week. And I didn't particularly want to take a -8 when I'm wildcarding the next week. So I thought about it, and I thought this is an opportunity to just take up a free hit and hopefully get a lot of points. And my rank went up by 1 million. So quite
So
happy.
where are you now then? I'm curious. I'm slightly worried that you're ahead of me, but you're not ahead of me, are you?
No, you're doing well. You're 35k, I think.
Yeah.
I think you're 17 points ahead of me. Not that I've checked.
Okay. That would be the world ending. That would be. I wouldn't be on a pod for weeks if that happened. But no, fair play to you. Good performance, and good of you to give credit to Toby for the Saliba pick. So excellent stuff. So well done. And like I say, Hampsters are on a good run. I think that's their 4th win in a row. So excellent to see. Okay, then let's have a quick look at the Klinsmann Secret Service, who won 5-0 against the Fangs. I always call them the Fangs of Justice, and I can't get out of my head now. So the Fangs of Suarez. So yeah, who were the big scorers for Klinsmann here then?
Let's have a see. Oh god, 5-0. So that their strikers were Bullet and Pep Talk, who is one of their go-to guys. It seems he's having a very good season so far. They both got a goal each, and unfortunately, Fangs of Suarez didn't have a particularly good week. 546 was a pretty low score. They took 20 points in hits, and none of their differentials really hit. Jesus did, but yeah, all of the differentials for Klinsmann really hit well. So they got an extra 3 goals from the squad score. So a very very good result for them.
Yeah, no, I think Pep Talk was particularly happy with his performance. He compared himself to Paul Warhurst, so younger fans will have to look up who Paul Warhurst is, but he was a journeyman midfielder straight defender who ended up going up front. So yeah, so well done to Pep. He's having a cracking season, so well done, sir. Then the last couple, so just want to talk about Banyana Bafana, who won 1-0 against Netflix and Chilwell. So they're top of the table. They keep on winning. Extraordinary run. Maybe just pick out how this keeps on happening, Sam.
They had 6 more De Bruyne's. They took 16 points in hits, funny enough, more than the other team, who took none. But they had 3 Salibas, which did a lot of damage. 3 more Salibas. They had 2 Haalands, 6 De Bruyne's. I think did all right. Can't remember now. Both teams scored really well. None of the strikers scored any goals. So both John Ballantyne and Ad, who were in goal for both teams, they both got clean sheets. So it's purely squad against squad, and I think anything over 600 was pretty good. And yeah, Banyana got 624 in the end, so they should be very happy with that close game.
Yeah, they keep on doing it. So they keep on churning out the results, and that's particularly. I didn't realize it's taken 16 points of hits. That's very impressive. Okay, and then last but not least, because I know you're desperate to talk about it, and I can't think why. Is a team I belong to, headed up by Charballer. It's Carter Pounders with Greaves, also Brittany, so let's not forget about Brittany. And we drew this week, or last week, against all the 7s, the multiple 7s, to 2-2. So what went wrong for us here? Because they took a lot of hits by the looks of it, 40 hits.
How on earth? Because you guys were 4-0 up before the game, before the ball was even kicked. You were 4-0 up because they took 40 points in hits. So how on earth you've lost a 4-0 lead and only drawn? I have no idea. But again, you guys scored massively. 648 was a very good score. But it was just the head-to-heads. Yeah, they did all right. You had Back on the Horse and Jairzinho as strikers, and Waza, who was in goal for the Sevens, just outdid them by 3 points to stop them scoring. Whereas KFK Interista, is that his? KTK Interista? He got 69 against Tony Hibbert's 55, so he got a goal, or close to getting 2. And Jay also squeezed a goal with 4 points. So they just managed to squeeze it back, but that's good for them because that's points for them. They've not been hitting the heights.
Yeah, and it keeps our undefeated streak going. So to be honest, I'm not too worried because it's still early on in the season. So and like you say, it was a close affair. I think pretty much everyone can be pretty proud of what they did. So all good, onwards and upwards, as they say. So I'm not yet worried about wearing that Arsenal shirt just yet. Okay, so let's have a quick look at what that means in terms of the league table, shall we? So first of all, let's have a glance at the Jules League. And that's becoming a story of 2 teams: Cafu Goodmen, FPL Juice's outfit, and Neto that Haaland, which is Net that Haaland's team as well. So that's FPL Lens. So yeah, they're doing really well, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They've not lost a game. They've got 4 wins and a draw. I think Cafu Goodmen have got a pretty hard match coming up, which we'll go over later, which could possibly let Neto that Haaland climb above them if they get a draw or a loss. But no, that they're in imperious form, I think we would say. But I think Fabio Cannavarians, to be honest, are in the mood to pounce. They've got 19 goals scored, which is, I mean, huge compared to everyone else. So, yeah, let's see what happens.
Very good, very good. So I think very close. I think, like I say, there's quite a few teams there who are on good runs. So yeah, it's not over yet, certainly by a long shot. I do want to see King Otto's Grecians. I want to see them get a win. They're the next one. I think we need to see them get some points on the board. And then moving over to Remake League, which is the one that we occupy. So looking at that one, it looks like, well, as we said about Bafana are leading at the moment by a point. But there's a lot of teams hovering behind them.
Yeah, definitely. Can you see that? Oh, I've gone off screen. How's that? That's better. Yeah, Banyana Bafana doing pretty well with 13 points, but they're closely followed by Gentleman's Grealish, Lucio and the Viking Seaman, and my lot, the Hamsters, who are all on 12. But the ones to watch out for are Klinsmann, because they're winning pretty big. But they've only let in 3 goals, and they've scored 15. So I think they're a little bit unlucky to be in the 5th, because they're in really, really good form. At the other end, we have 3 teams without a win, although 2 of them have got a draw. That's Vivu Zizou and the Sevens, and Shelby Company not got a single point yet, so they need to start to up their game and get some points on the board.
Yeah, and I know I joked about it in the pre-season when we announced the different leagues, but this is the league of death, the group of death, as I see it, because there's a lot of really good teams in here, or experienced teams in here who've kind of been in previous competitions as well. So yeah, it's going to be a fun ride towards the end. I can tell you that right now. But still remaining confident. I could do the Hamsters losing a couple, but hopefully that starts this week. Anyway, shall we have a quick look at some of the individual performances? So who are the kind of the top strikers and top keepers in the tournament?
Yeah, let's have a look. All right, can you see that? Yeah, there we are.
Can now.
So yeah, the top goal scoring strikers, we have FPL Noble Gent and Mark Mansfield, and they're respectively, Gentleman's Grealish and No Kerman No Cry. They're on 4 goals each, and then there's this whole slew of people on hat tricks, well, on 3 goals, who are just beneath them. The top goal saving keepers are 6 saves each. So FPL Focal and Umberto. Again, of Gentleman's Grealish and Igor Miller a pint, respectively. They're both on 6 clean sheets each. So they're doing really, really well. They're closely followed by Zoffa, Chiathwan Thongari, if I'm saying that right, and PG, who are on 5.
I'm sure you're not. I'm sure you're not saying it right, but you had to go. You had to go. That was good.
Oh dear.
But it must be easy being the team captain of Gentleman's Grealish though, because you just pick, he picks himself, FPL Noble Gentler striker, puts FPL focal between the sticks, and he's done. That's all he has to do each week. I'll just keep it like that. But
I know,
yeah,
seems to work.
they're doing well. They're doing well.
Definitely.
And go on then. Who are the what about the top overall scorers? Thank God for Billy Bremner is all I can say. He's keeping you off top, because I couldn't cope with that if you were to be top of that one as well. But no, you went a cracking run. I think you've timed it right so far. But
I have no idea how I'm there, because I'm not in like the top 15 or something, 15k. I'm outside the 100k. I think I'm just scoring heavily on the match weeks and on the game weeks that we haven't had as match weeks. I'm not doing too well, so I'm very happy to be second. It won't last. I'm sure I'll start dropping down, and really, really chuffed to be top of the scorers in the last match week. So I'm really glad my free hit paid off.
Well played. It's always good fun, and there's no, I can put aside any rumours of match fixing or corruption at the highest level. He did do it. He deserved it. So well done. I guess
I'd like to thank my mum. I'd like to thank my dad.
Begrudgingly, we do have to call you Player of the Week, but there were some other good performances as well. I mean, I think Part the Bus did very well. He scored a couple of goals as well. And again, not that easy. Ferguson had a couple of good performances amongst their lot as well. So yeah, all good. But on from that. But anyway, enough of looking back. Let's now move just to pick the brains of our guest a bit more. So and find out a bit more about how he's his tactics and how he's got his team off to finally that win this week as well. So again, welcome Paul. Welcome to the show. So do you just tell us a bit more about how you got involved and your history of the tournament?
So I joined last year with Too Cruel to CU or Too Cruel to BCU. I can't quite remember now. I saw the details on the Scout website last season, and I wanted to sort of like widen my involvement in the game. So that's why I wanted to join the competition last year. And we had Andy Teach Mode as our MVP last season in that team. And I think as a result of last season, I think we've got 3 captains who were in our team last season who are in the competition this season. And then in terms of like how I wanted to pull the team together, I think each one of the captains has got around about 4 people from our team from last season. And then in terms of trying to put together the team this season, I managed to get quite a nice spread of people. I went through everybody from like the 5 millions all the way up to about 90 million. And I was looking at also what some of the other captains were doing, because some of them obviously spent the full whack and others spent very little. And I wanted to try and aim to be somewhere in the middle, because I wanted to try and get our MVP of choice, who we actually managed to get. So that was very good. So we had a consensus on our preferred candidate.
But But the big question, Paul, is your MVP of choice is FPL Teach Mode Andy, and so the big question is why go for him?
Well, I think last season it was my first sort of direct regular contact with one of the people that I've regularly been watching over the last sort of like 4 seasons or so, since I started realizing that there was all this sort of like netherworld of FPL below the website itself. And so it was just interesting to sort of have that direct contact with somebody who's a visible part of that. And he also last season made a good impression on all of us in terms of how involved he was and how friendly. And he has a bit of in the know knowledge from time to time as well, which comes in handy. And obviously he can tap the brains of like some of the alumni of the whole thing with Mark and yourselves. And so yeah, we just wanted somebody that we knew would get involved with us and would be friendly and would be engaging with us, and so that was the main reason, really.
Yeah, now all joking aside, he is actually a very good manager, and he actually is a lovely bloke as well. Like you
That's
say,
what he
if
tells
you
us as
want
well,
someone
that
to
he's a
get
good
engaged,
manager.
yeah. I bet he says that quite about how good a manager he is. Anyway, so that's all good. And then just maybe just reflecting back on what you were saying earlier on. So talk to me about your kind of team selection. So you say you kind of go, is it kind of template goalkeeper, and then you try and mix it up a bit when it comes to strikers, or?
Yeah, so I mean, early on in the season, it was a bit like wetting my finger and sticking up in the air because there was so little difference between all of us and everybody in general that it was a kind of a bit of guesswork, and there wasn't any real point, or at least I didn't feel there was much point in doing things like rate my team at the beginning because there was such a small pool of players from which everybody seemed to be picking from. But in the last 2 or 3 game weeks, it started to split apart a bit more. And so what I was focusing more in the early weeks was looking at each of our opponents and who they picked in the previous week and trying to match up with who we had, looking at who they'd been picking as their strikers and goalkeepers and trying to match up against them. For the last game week, as I say, I knew that we were going to be taking more hits rather than wild cards. And so, as I say, I relied heavily on Rate My Team to try and pluck our high scorers and have them as my strikers and goalkeeper, with the caveats of, the most popular captain for our keeper and then splitting it between the strikers. And one of my guys told me in advance he was taking 12-point hits, so he was easy to go on the bench. And then as a matter of picking then one of our lowest on the RMT as the other sub. And then, as I say, I knew that we had quite a few hits, so it was a little bit of hoping for the best. But as I say, I was quite happy with the differentials that we had. And we obviously got a bit of luck going our way for a change.
Fantastic. No, good to see. And obviously, a big fan personally of the videos you do after each week after your victories and your ups and downs of the season so far. So great stuff on that one. So okay, let's get you to just dish it on your team and upset all that buoyancy, all that harmony that you've created after your win. So I'm just going to quickly run through and ask you a question, and all you have to do is just determine which one of your squad this best relates to. So, who is the best FPL manager amongst your squad?
Well, if we're going to talk on recent record, that would be Mad for FPL, who finished 17th last season. Wow. And we've also got FPL Gunner, who was 617th last season. So we had a couple of big hitters. And he's been doing well this season so far. He's been most of the time one of our top 2 players. But in terms of past record, as I say, Mad for FPL and FPL Gunner. And also, I wanted to make an honourable mention for FPL Evolution because in 1920 season, he finished 488th as well. So we've got some very accomplished, far more accomplished players than me in the side. So, I'd say we've got a nice spread, but Mad for FPL has to take the plaudit for 17th.
Yeah, no, 17th is serious. That's almost like, you're in contention, aren't you, really? So that's a fantastic performance. But no, great stuff. Okay, so I'm sorry, yes, let's go quick fire. What about who is the most in the know? Who gives you the insight in tracks?
So I don't think we've necessarily got anybody who has a sort of great ear to the ground in terms of tidbits of who's playing or who's not playing. I mean, Andy has little bits and pieces on that, and he advised us 1 or 2 in the previous game week. We have got quite a few statisticians on the team, so FPL Pub, Belphegor and Evolution do mixture of stats, and Evolution does modelling as well. Not that sort of modelling, but statistical modelling.
Well, you were taking on Cameron Diaz this week, weren't you? So maybe that's what it's linked to. But
yes.
Anyway.
No, there was no hair gel involved in the modelling.
So okay, so that's in terms of in the know. What about have you got anyone who's the Joker who keeps spirits high in amongst
So I'd say we've got sort of 3 main contenders. We've got Eddie the Eagle, Jess and Andy, I think, also qualifies as one of the Jokers. But as Bruce Forsyth used to say on his program, you need a joker in the pack to help you get along. So
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I think that's the first time I mentioned Bruce Forsyth on this show, so that's great. Okay, that's got to be a first. But what about who's the most competitive? Who takes it the most serious amongst your
probably
team?
me, because I feel the responsibility of being the captain. So
Okay.
I do lots of analysis each week. I have on our we've got a Google sheet with opponents tabs every single week. So I do analysis on there. And so for me, I'd probably put myself as being most competitive because I'm looking at the differentials throughout the whole weekend and sort of ticking them off as we go along and hoping that it falls our way. So I'd put myself forward on that one.
Very good. And what about your Maverick managers? Who's the ones that take crazy hits and
So
odd
I'm not
picks?
sure that I think I wanted to give a mention for Maverick for our guy Iv Levyuk, who also known as Iggy, because he's actually in Ukraine at the moment.
Okay.
So we sort of agreed as a team that if anyone would come as a Maverick, then he would, for playing the game while sort of like doing what he's doing out there at the moment in terms of trying to help people and
Absolutely.
dodging the bullets and stuff. So I couldn't, we couldn't think of anyone better to be called Maverick
No.
in terms of the context of the game and his life at the moment. So he's who we thought would be our choice of Maverick.
I think that's going to be one of the best answers we've had so far to that question. So you definitely win that one. To flip it on its head, then, have you got any particular conservative managers amongst you?
Again, I'd maybe be tempted to put myself forward because again, with being the captain, I feel like I want to try and break the mold a little bit eventually, but I feel like I've probably been going for fairly safe choices because I don't want to look like a duffer by doing really poorly, and I'm at the lower end of our league table of 16 players, so probably been me so far, I'd say most of the time, but I want to change that.
No, you got to pick your moment. You're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. And then who's the one that rants the most? Who gets most upset? Who's the FPL Maldini in your team?
Again, I don't think we've got anybody too bad. Probably during the game weeks when we've been struggling at times, I probably again probably put myself forward again because again feeling like the responsibility, and particularly if I feel like I've made a bad choice, then I feel a bit guilty about that. But I got some credit back in the bank after last game week, so yeah, probably me. But again, I think we've got a good temperament in the team, and no one really goes off at the deep end particularly.
Very good, very good. And then last but not least, who is the one that submits their team sheet last?
Well, again, you would think it would be Iggy with his
Yeah.
with his life, but actually, by and large, there's no single culprit who I would put up there as being worst of the worst. Everybody, to be in fairness, is pretty good, and we've got a vibrant WhatsApp group, and as I say, I've got the spreadsheet where we log our teams on. So again, I just wanted to put the word out there for Iggy. You know, if you would think he would be the one who would need the most chasing, but actually, he's very good, all things considered.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Well, look, I think you've actually been quite diplomatic in your answers. I don't think anybody can be upset by anything you said. So
Thank you.
you've navigated those choppy waters very well indeed. Okay, now we're going to move over to the one bit where we try and impart some FPL knowledge, guidance to anyone who wants to listen to a bunch of well, in my case, a very average managers. So I'm going to pinch Nino's seat this week, and I've just picked 3 players in 2 different positions. And all I'm going to ask you and Sam to do is just say which one you would buy, which one you sell, which one you captain. So basically, a kind of FPL equivalent of snog, marry, and avoid. I've started off on a very dull foot, so sorry about this, but it gets more exciting. The goalkeepers, it's kind of like budget goalkeepers, really. And I've got 3 here, so I've got either Guita, if I pronounce that wrong. I always pronounce the Crystal Palace keeper wrong. Raya or Mendy at 4.9. So let's go with Sam first of all, because he's a man on form. So I'm hoping you can tell me which way to go on those ones.
Well, I've just got Gator in, so he would be my
Okay.
I would never captain a goalkeeper. I don't think I ever have. But
Nah.
out of those three, that would
But
be the
out of
one.
those three,
If I had a gun to my head, I would probably captain Gator. Just not sure what's going to happen with. I'm imagining that Chelsea are going to be really good, and he's going to get that defence sorted quickly. But you just don't know. It's a brand new manager and a brand new team. Well, not brand new team, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
So I think Brentford are probably going to get done by Bournemouth. Actually, I actually think Bournemouth are going to beat Brentford. So I would sell Raya and I would keep Mendy. Apologies to any Bees fans out there. It's just what I think.
You can upset them. What about you, Paul? Do you agree with that assessment?
No, I would.
I like him. I like him. He's a good guest. He's a keeper. Go on in.
I partially agree. So I agree on the captain because I think Guaita is probably. I think when you combine their potential, their form a little bit, who they've got coming up, and his price, I think he's the best choice to captain. Personally, I think after having had Chelsea defenders most of last season and also this season, I think Mendy's the one who I'd sell just to avoid the disappointment of the 1 point and in view of his price as well. And then the one I'd keep would be Raya.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. Okay. So slight difference, but okay. And Sam has upset all the Bees fans. That's good to see. Right. Okay. So moving on to a slightly more exciting area of the pitch. And obviously, any FPL content right now has to mention Dominic Solanke. It seems to be the law. So we're looking at budget strikers. So the options are Solanke or or who else have I got? Or Brennan Johnson from Nottingham Forest, or I've got Patrick Bamford is my third one. I've actually crept in there. So don't pull that face, Sam. We'll get to you in a minute because Sam looks like he's in pain. So Paul, so do you want to think about those? So it's kind of Bamford, Johnson.
Well, if you knew that Bamford would be fit, then you'd want to have him, to be honest, because Leeds have obviously been one of the most attacking sides of the season. I think they're around about in the top 5, aren't they, for some of the main criteria. So if he were fit, I'd captain him. I don't actually know what his fitness status is now.
Well, he's due to start this weekend. That's what it said on a couple of forums. So
okay, fair enough. So in that case, then I would say I'd captain Bamford for what he could offer and what the team could offer. The other two, that's kind of like
I mean, flip a coin.
Picking between being punched in the head or being punched in the stomach a little bit. I would bench Brennan Johnson and keep Solanke.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Okay. So Solanke's like being punched in the nuts. That's the soundbite for this show already. Right. Okay. Sam, do you agree? Disagree with that order?
That's going to be the title of the podcast, I think. Ron Manager captains Bamford. I think I pretty much agree. I think it's a coin flip between Brennan Johnson and Solanke. But yeah, I'll go to be different. I'll get rid of Solanke.
Excellent. Okay. Well, inadvertently, you've helped me with my wild card thinking. So I shall. You shall have to find out on Saturday which way I go. Okay. Say again.
Said heaven help you then.
Yeah. Yeah, when I get a red arrow, I know who to come knocking. I'll who's door to come knocking. Okay, so great stuff. So that's the FPL bit, as we call it. But then last but not least, we're going to have a go at some soothsaying and predicting the fixtures and the results of the fixtures, I should say, for the next match week. Now, just to give you a quick update. So simple rules in this one. So you just predict some of the results from the games in the community tournament. All we're going to do is going to keep tally. So you get 1 point if you get it in the right direction. So win, lose, draw. And you get 3 points for getting it bang on. So it's fair to say Sam and the guests have done really badly so far. Last time out, it was 3-3 in the end between you, Sam, and FPL Spaceman. So you both got 3 results in the right direction, but no perfect scores. So far the guests are in the lead. So let's hope that continues as we go forward. And let's see if one of you can actually get one bang on. So yes, let's have a look at the ones that we've picked out. So I think the first one from the Jules League was here we go, Closer Than Ever versus Qatar Heroes. So I'm going to let Sam be really horrible about your team now, Paul, and you can counterbalance that.
Well, I'm going to upset Ron a little bit. I always do this. I'm really sorry. Oh, that's me saying we're ending in 10 minutes. Let me turn that off. That's good to know. 10 more minutes to discuss this stuff. More than ample time. So looking at the differentials, Closer Than Ever, I've got 5 Isaacs, 5 more De Bruynes, 2 more Sons. Do you think Son's going to start? Or do you think he's going to keep him on the bench?
No, he'll start him. You can't not play him after a hat trick, surely.
Yeah, but if it's working, if you're bringing someone on and they score a hat trick, aren't you going to stick to that format and let Richarlison start?
No. I think he'll start. But who knows? We should all be glued to the Indonode account. I can't remember the chap's name now, but there's a new Indonode account, doesn't it, that leaks all the Spurs news.
For me, I think it's De Bruyne. I think De Bruyne is going to do well against United. I don't know why. I just think De Bruyne is going to do particularly well against United. I think Arsenal obviously going to kick the crap out of Spurs, so Kane's not going to get anything there. So I've gone for, apologies, Ron, I've gone for a 5. No, not 5. That would be silly. I've gone for a 3-0 win for Closer Than Ever.
Wow, 3-0. I mean, that's
you can get the boot
harsh.
into my team later, just to let you know.
Yeah, don't worry. We're going to get to that. So I hope you got warmed up for that one. So Paul, you've got to go for your own team, surely.
I do. So sad to say you are wrong. So I believe that we're going to win 2-0. I saw that Magnus played his wild card last week, and he's obviously been a tad distracted for the last couple of weeks with other matters.
Jeez.
So I can assure you that there's been that I've received no vibrating clue to tell me which way to go with my predictions or anything like that. So yeah, I'm predicting us to win 2-0. I don't fancy his team really for this week so much, and I think because he scored heavily last game week, I back us to win 2-0.
Okay, very good. So with that prediction, you're sitting comfortably. That's good to see. Right, okay. Then the next one, and it's a big one. This one actually, it's I've picked out the current league leaders, Cafu Good Men, and they take on Sheikh Blatter and Raoul. So for those you remember, that was a team under a different name, who obviously won the one league we had last year. So Paul, I'm going to go with you first, if that's okay, just in terms of which way you think this one's going to go.
I think Sheikh Blatter and Roll will turn them over 2-0.
Oh, okay.
I think when you look at the differentials, I fancy Arsenal to get something out of Tottenham. And with them having that many Sakas, I think that could give them quite a good edge.
Saka hat trick.
Oh dear, you've been corrupted by the evil Arsenal force, but never mind. It's like talking to two evil Sith lords on the same call. But anyway, so Sam, what do you reckon?
I think it's going to be quite close. Both teams are doing really well, and I do think Cafu Good Men are going to pull one off. Again, I think De Bruyne is going to have a good week, and they got 4 more of him. So if Tottenham manage to keep Arsenal quiet, Saka doesn't get any points, I think it's going to go Cafu Good Men's way. I think I've gone for 2-1 to Cafu Good Men.
Oh, interesting. Well, you've not agreed at all so far, so I think Paul, I fancy you to do very well in these predictions. Okay, and then last but not least within the Jules League, we've got the Hand of Zoff against Peter Check Yourself, which is FPL Mahir's team, and they've hit a bit of form, so worthwhile just coming back to them. So Sam, I'm going to come to you first.
Not much between them, really. I like 5 more Baileys. I think I've just got Bailey in on my wild card. I think he's going to do really well. But I just think Petr Check Yourself are going to just overhaul them. I think it's going to be 2-1 to Petr Check Yourself.
Okay. Okay. 2-1. All right.
Hmm.
And Paul, are you going to keep
I've
on a
gone for
streak of disagreeing?
1-0 for Petr Check Yourself.
Ah, you've agreed at last. Okay. Okay. Good to see. FPL Mahir will be happy, so that keeps him ticking over. All right, let's switch over to the other league, the Remake League. So the one we've picked out here, first of all, is Clinton Secret Service against the Lucio and the Viking Seaman. Pick that one out because that's third versus fifth, so it's quite a top of the table clash. So I fancy some fireworks in that one. I think Paul, we come to you first.
Yeah. So I've gone for 1-0 for Lucio and the Viking Seaman.
I can. FBR Richie is already cursing you. I can tell that straight away. But, the hate mail will be in the post. And Sam, do you agree? Disagree?
1-0 to the Viking Seamen. Yep.
Oh,
Interestingly,
good
their teams are very similar. There's only 23 differentials between them. So I think it's going to be close. I think it will come down to squad score. And obviously head-to-head selection. But both teams are really good at that. So, but I think the Seamen are going to win this 1-0 as well.
Very good. Okay. Well, Pep Talk, FBL Richie, you know who to write to. Right. Okay. The next one is Ryan's Ronaldo's versus Vuvu Zuzu. I think I've said that right, probably wrong. And the reason I picked this out is that it involves a couple of the big MVPs, or well-known MVPs anyway. It's Prass against Late Riser in this one. So I think we'll go with you, Sam, first. Which way do you think this one's going to go?
I really like the look of the Ronaldos. I like 3 more Madisons, 2 more De Bruynes, 4 more Isaacs, assuming he's not injured, which I don't think. I think he'll be okay. So yeah, I've gone for a 2-0 win for the Ronaldos.
Okay.
Too much Spurs in the Vuvus for me.
Yeah. But these predictions are right off. You've just been complete. You've just got an Arsenal haze over you. Right. Okay. Paul.
I'm going for 2-1 to Vuvu Zizu.
Okay. Excellent. You've gone back to disagreeing. That's the way to go. All right. And then the last one we'll have a look at is the Fangs of Suarez. You got it right. The Fangs of Suarez against Baggio Trousers. And obviously, Baggio Trousers are my dear friend Darth Crid's team. So what do we reckon here? Paul, I'll go for you first.
I've gone for a 3-0 victory for Baggio Trousers.
You will be very popular with Griddles. I can tell you that right now. But and to be fair, they are looking better. They've had a good couple of victories, so you might not be too far off. But that's a lot of Baileys. Sam, is that what you're going to point to?
Yeah, definitely. I really like the look of their team. I can't see any holes there. It's a bit unfair. They're mid-table. I think they're just mid-table because they're one of the highest scoring teams in the whole tournament. I think they're 3rd or 4th in the Classic League, something like that. They're doing really, really well in not getting results, but in terms of their overall score. So I don't know if that's a head-to-head thing, if they need to just look a bit more closely at the strikers they're selecting. But I've gone for 3-1 to Baggio Trousers.
Good grief. I think it's more than fair than mid-table. I think they should be lower myself, but if I had my way. Anyway, all right, great stuff. Well, look, I've scribbled down the scores. I think it's definitely going to be a victory one way or the other. I can't see it being a draw this time around because you've tended to disagree, which is great to see. Okay, so that's great in terms of fixtures. So I think that just about brings us to the end. I guess I should say a massive thank you, Paul FPL Ron Manager, for joining us, for taking part in the competition. Absolutely loved it. And like I say, we'll keep that quote about playing Dominic Solanke is like being punched in the nuts. I really like that one. That's something we should keep going forward. And Sam, as always, thank you for keeping us on the straight and narrow. Anything else from you before we close?
And again, just thank you to Paul. Good luck with the next game week, and to everyone else. Hope you do well. Enjoy the next one.
And don't forget to mention our team next week when we've won our fixture against your prediction as well.
I've made a note, Paul. That will be mentioned. But anyway, and obviously, I was going to wish you both luck in the North London derby, but I don't mean it. So anyway, we'll leave on that note. Anyway, all the best. Great talking to you all, and see you all soon. Take care. Bye.
Right.